Hello, everybody. Through me looking through the internet, today I have come to discover whatever the heck this is. And this is kind of why we're here having this conversation under this video that has the title that it has and has the thumbnail that it has. Mostly, you know what happens when you click into videos like that, like the ones that I just showed you, where they have quite a few videos out like that. That one channel, a lot of misinformation happens. That's what happens. It's not too bad when it is just like, fiction, considering that like the spooky, scary stories kind of channels should normally just be like creepypasta fiction. But when they start like entering the field of spirituality and spiritualities that actually do exist, misinformation kind of just simply does not help. And the kind of tropes that they tend to use tend to be the kind of tropes. I'm just gonna take off headphones. I was listening to music. Why do I need them? I can hear myself, and there's nothing else to listen to. So let's just proceed like that. They tend to use very easily predictable tropes. They tend to then try and sell them to people like very, very scary, forbidden rituals. And then you also have a whole bunch of people in the comments that then do not see it as fiction, but like fully believe these people. So I thought, hey, if you're gonna click into scary clickbaity video, at the very least, it should be one that has correct information. So let's just start from like the kind of tropes that they use. Well, first of all, that you should be able to see a spirit board in the corner, and I'm just gonna like take out the real thing. That's just its packaging. It appears that picking a flat object from the floor with one hand while supporting your body weight with the other is actually harder than I imagined. Do you believe that? Anyway, so a lot of fear mongering begins here. This is a party toy. It's not actually a spirituality tool. You kind of can use it, but it requires to have more than one person with you when you normally don't normally involve more than one person into your own spiritual practice. If you try to use this alone, it kind of gets a bit awkward because you kind of would need to be desensitized to your own arm enough in order to slide this easily along the board, because once again, it's kind of using your own body in order to exert the forces, in order to get movement, in order to get pointing into any whatever letter that you would, be trying to make words out of on this board. So normally this is not like one of the tools that you would use for an actual spiritual practice. There's a lot of like fear about this. This is the alphabet, people. You're afraid of the alphabet that is projected onto a wooden block. The reason why it works as a party toy is because through the group effort of directing this, you can spell pretty swanky stuff and scare your friends. Any things from "you die tomorrow" to "you're an asshole." It's a laugh. It's a thing that you do at a sleepover when you're in middle school. It's not, for goodness sakes, they're sold as toys. They're sold in toy stores. They are not an occult object. They look cool. And they normally fit quite the vibe quite well, hence why I have one. I really like how this thing looks, honestly. I feel like it should be a work of art and I should just like hang it somewhere on the wall, but so the first bit of misinformation in these kind of videos is that a lot of them treat this like some sort of magical cursed object that attracts demons into your house. That's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. So if you have this block of wood, congratulations, it is a very pretty block of wood. The alphabet definitely do be styling though. So like if you want to hang this on your wall, please do that. If you want to use it as a party toy, please do that. If you want to incorporate it into your spiritual practice, that's sort of doable, but kind of hard because, once again, you're doing the sliding, you're also doing the reading, and the hand is always going to be yours. How you're going to numb your hand in order to make it feel like it isn't you that's doing the sliding while also doing the sliding. Automatic writing at that point is just so much easier. If you don't know what that just means like trancing yourself out of your mind through like meditation, taking a piece of paper and putting your hand on it with a pencil and starting just moving it, just free forming it, just letting come out whatever it wants to come out, whether it be your internal thoughts or whether sometimes it's a very interesting interpretive picture that comes out. That's if you want to include writing in your spiritual practice, that kind of writing is a lot easier. So, while we're here, the second object that a lot of these videos use that they tend to really fearmonger about, because once again, while we're here and we can talk about objects, we're going to talk about demons a bit later, is a black mirror, which is... A black mirror is honestly any black reflective surface. I have a round one. I do enjoy mine. I have been experimenting with it in the past. It's a fun little thing, but it's another one of those things where they're like, oh, how spooky, scary, and special it is. Let me show you that black mirror, it does not inherently produce the funny demon guys that run around and wreck your kitchens. By showing you a black mirror that you definitely have in your house, because I'm pretty sure like 99% of all people have it in their pocket right now. This is my phone. This is a black mirror. This is my phone. You can see my screen reflecting off both. Both will work just as well. So this is another occult object that's entirely blown out of proportion. I should probably not be reflecting my Discord at you. That feels kind of private. Anyway, it's another occult item that's blown completely out of proportion and oversold by these channels as like a spooky, scary portal into the ghost world or the demon world or the underworld or whatever you want. It's a black shiny surface. Nothing will happen to your house if you have one. Now, demons are kind of known as... I would really need to explain to you quite a lot about spiritual for you to like separate horror movie standards from real life. Anyways, demons are kind of known as wise spirits. No matter what kind of spirit that you're contacting with, whatever kind of vibes or area of expertise that they have, it's energy, it's a concept, and it's not a little dude with horns that appears in the corner of your room. If you want to know, the whole horns and hooves thing kind of came from Pan. So if you're into God Pan, you want to be researching in that direction. The whole popular imagery of like a spooky, scary man is not something that enters any kind of spiritual practice whatsoever outside of a few very scared Christians that managed to incorporate quite a few fictional takes and mixed it in with like nearby existing gods like the god Pan and his image and then turned it into its whole thing. But scary movies in general is just not how spirituality works. I'm sorry to tell you, but no matter what phrases you chant in your bedroom, how many times you stare at a mirror with your lights off, how many candles you light, how many pentagrams you draw. Pentagram is another very funny symbol considering that it either represents like 5 elements or the 5 wounds of Christ, and it's not in itself a negative symbol in any sort of way in practically any religion, but it looked edgy and scary, I guess, so people decided it's edgy and scary, I guess. No matter what you do, like, reality isn't fiction. You're not gonna spawn a spooky dude that will, I don't know, levitate your bed and throw fireballs. I have literally no idea what people actually expect these days to happen, but I know that there's a lot of thrill seeking, and that's why these kind of videos get popular. If you want to get serious with spirituality, you're getting serious with spirituality. It's not a thrill seeking experience, it is a very subtle experience. So, then let me come back to the topic of the video because I didn't lie. Real demonic rituals the dark witches do to summon demons. Meditation. I'm not I'm not even kidding. Meditation. The first step in any kind of spiritual contact, and most people practice invocation. It's easier to evocation because evocation also includes actually tricking your brain in order to hallucinate outwards, which is definitely quite a thing to achieve. The people that did achieve it normally they don't like manage to do it outside of the ritual setting, so they're probably still entirely sane, but I wouldn't like necessarily suggest going seeking that because that's quite hard to achieve and you might just like end up, I don't know, taking hallucinogenics in order to cut corners, and then you might just end up with permanent psychosis of that. So, that's not the path that I would suggest taking. Invocation means inviting in, which means that you see the spirits inside your brain or inside your mind's eye or inside your imagination, whichever word you prefer, which means it's not an outwardly thing that you see, but no matter which like bit that you use, it's not like you are having a physical being in your house, because once again, that's not how spirits work. You're never just gonna have a physical dude in your house like spawned on your floor. That's not spirituality. If you're seeking that, you're not gonna find that. And I know that entertaining scary spooky channels encourage you to think that way because you want to escape into a fantasy, even if your fantasy is a dark horror movie. And they would love to make money off you and gain your views and rise in popularity, which just kind of hurts a little practices that they do kind of rip off without, any consideration for that, but you don't normally expect people to be considerate, so you just get like a lot of thrill seeking new people that have no idea how spirituality works. Anyway, back to invocation. You want to start with a good meditation practice first and foremost. You really want to be able to separate what is you, what is not you, what thoughts normally come through your mind when you sit down to think about things. You want to be able to relax, you want to be able to listen to your environment entirely fine. So you would probably take up the practice of meditating for at least a couple months. And remember, thoughtless meditation or empty thought meditation, it doesn't necessarily mean not having thoughts, it just means not chasing the thoughts that pass through and just being painfully aware of what you actually is, and what kind of things you normally think about and what kind of things run through your head and what kind of compulsions or weird thinky thought disorders you might have. Because when you're trying to go, okay, and now I want to call on to a spirit and I want to communicate with a spirit, how will you even know what is a spirit and what isn't a spirit if you can't separate what is you and what isn't you? Now, remember that spirituality is so subtle that there is one running atheistic thought that when you're performing invocations, you're actually invoking parts of yourself that just represent a specific archetype that you're seeking. Um, Whether you subscribe that a spirit external or internal does not matter, but that is where your expectation should be. That the experience is so subtle that the answer of this internally came from me or this externally came from somewhere else is seen as equally valid as, well, you can't really prove it either way. Any kind of spiritual, physical happenings normally happen through synchronicity. If you're praying or wishing for a job really highly and you say that in a week I'm gonna get a job, when you get a job in a week, does that prove your spirituality or is that a synchronicity? Once again, spirituality is so subtle that both conclusions are entirely fine and entirely valid in any kind of spiritual circle. That's where your expectation should be. Secondly, you should definitely, like, if you want to contact a demon, you should be picking a demon to contact. Normally, like the Lesser Key of Solomon is a pretty good book to have and to go to. If you don't want to go there, just Google Goetic demons and get a wiki going. I made a book on 100 demons, which is like Demon Altar's handbook, and yeah, it had the Esconolé system, which is the Ducante hierarchy, which is not an entirely valid thing, but that's neither here nor there, and has the Goetic demons, making it into 100 entities, which I compiled. But honestly, just like a Wikipedia will do, just Google Goetic demons, open Wikipedia, go through names, and go through their areas of expertise, aka what do they do? Take note of like their rank, like Duke, King, and so on and so forth. That is a code word for planetary association. Association? Yeah, association. I'm pretty sure that's the right word. So, yeah, kings are solar, for example. Dukes, if I remember correctly off the top of my head, are Venusian. So those words just they're not actual ranks. There are planets, and which planetary associations should you take to contact the spirit better? That's how that book is written. When you find a spirit that you desire to make contact with, you will probably be able to find their sigil on the same place. You don't necessarily need a sigil, but a sigil makes this easier. You need some sort of connective idea of them. So, for example, I do have my altar over here. I'm gonna just like take up a couple of statuettes. So I could also connect to my spirit through the statuettes because the statuettes remind me of my spirit and of the normal thing of what they represent to me. So sigil's not necessary, but sigil is pretty straightforward to use. You should be able to find it on the exact same Wikipedia page that you were just browsing. You can always make one of your own. This is the one that I made, but this is more of a channeled sigil. There are chaos magic ways of just reducing any kind of word to the non-vowel letters because you just throw out the vowels and then you remove any duplicate letters and then you assemble a shape out of the remaining letters that are non-vowels and non-duplicates. And if your selected spirit does not have a sigil, you can make a sigil by just once again doing that. You like take a word, like for example, let's say person. Now I would in my mind, because words are hard, I recently had a migraine, sorry if I'm a bit frantic. For person, if I wanted to make a sigil, I would drop the U and O. So now we have PRS N, I believe. There are no repeated letters in that. So we would just take P, R, S, N as shapes, and we would combine them into a singular shape. Now, if a letter is similar to another one, so for example, P and R are pretty similar, you can draw the P first, right? And then you will like add the little bit for the R, and now you effectively like made both P and R at the same time through the same letter. It's important that you know what it is. It doesn't matter that like every single letter is clearly visible. Then if we take like the main running point of the P, I would then do the S around it because like I like that. I like incorporating into like one major letter, and then like I could use like the N to then like cut the fat bit of the P just to like add some squiggles to just kind of look cool. And that would be how I would make a sigil if I couldn't locate one. But once again, a sigil is not necessary. You can even just use the spirit's name as a mantra and just recite it over and over again. What you really need is you need a connective point, and you need an idea of the spirit. So if you know what planetary associations it has, if you have a thing written down on what it does, and you have like some sort of sign or a picture that's associated with them, you sort of have a grasp of the spirit that you want to like mentally connect to. So you would then take a connective point. Once again, a sigil is a fairly easy one. You would go into meditation and you would hold it in your mind. Like, it's easier if you have it in front of you because then you can look at it and you can really remember it, and hold it in your mind and try to like mentally pull towards that energy. And when you feel something change, and this might take a while to get to, quite a few sessions of that, that is when you speak to communicate. And one of the best ways to honestly interpret communication back is to interpret any kind of things that you see in your imagination or any kind of thoughts that pass through your mind. But for that, you have to be very, very certain as to what is you and what is not you, which is why the starting meditation practice is so important. And yeah, there you go. That is spiritual communication. Sorry to burst your bubble. It's definitely not as scary as what all of these channels advertise. And unfortunately, I really don't know what is our fascination with like AI generated nuns, but like they will always use a picture of like an AI generated evil looking nun. So, yeah, you're not gonna summon an AI generated evil looking nun into your room. I am so sorry, but that is how spirituality works, instead of how spooky stories on the internet work. That is a real demonic ritual that dark witches do to summon demons. There you go. And, perhaps when you're walking outside, do not refer to other people as being somehow dark. Maybe don't refer to their spiritual practices as evil. In general, only very dualistic people ever see that. And whenever you decide that everyone else's culture outside of your own is evil, it's just not. It's not a good hill to stand on if you want understanding and communication with another person. And it's also not like a good frame of mind to enter any kind of spiritual practice, because once again, it just really sounds like you're an edgelord from middle school, or like you haven't grown out of middle school, rather than you having a mature and realistic approach and look at a lot of what spirits are and spirituality is. So for any thrill seekers, I'm sorry. You're not gonna find your thrills here. For any channels that make their content out of sensationalizing some other people's like spirituality, that's, I suppose it's expected, but it's still kind of a shitty thing to do. And when people do actually get interested in spirituality in itself, other people are left like buckets and buckets of mess to untangle because some channel just really, really wanted views and over sensationalized the crap out of everything. Now, I do have a beautiful altar next to me. I moved it closer to myself. There are a lot more things that I associate with, you know, the spirits that I follow that do count as demons. By the way, if you look more at my channel, you'll figure out which one. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, and another finger bites the dust. Well, now I have a sculpture of a fist on my floor. I'll deal with that later, but I also, for example, have these beautiful rocks, but this is just to show you that a lot of the things that people use in spirituality, it's not a horror movie. It shouldn't be this sensationalized and it shouldn't be seen as the scary. We're rock people and we're bring sticks home people, and I currently have a whole bunch of leaves hanging on my wall because I thought that that would be pretty cool. And the tools that people do use, they're not like some sort of magical portal to evil land, nor will they actually drive you insane. One of them is a party toy, the other one you can easily make out of your own phone. This is, once again, this is spirituality. So I hope that I had cleared up at least some misconceptions floating around on the internet, and I hope that I wasn't too confusing. If you are confused, feel free to ask me questions in the comment section down below. I will try to clarify to the best of my ability. I have written several books. I have a mega thread on Reddit where I had linked majority of them. I'm just gonna put the link to the mega thread on Reddit into the description down below. Every single book that I ever written is available both paid and free, and it is the exact same version. It is because I don't really want to be a cunt and sell, well, spirituality stuff. I don't really like wanna grift people, so you can have everything that I've written for free, and hey, if you wanna donate, you can purchase a PDF, or if you wanna have a physical copy, you can buy a physical copy, you know, that sort of thing. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, I suggest just like going and taking a look at that thread, seeing if there's anything useful for you. And definitely don't base your like look at a spirituality of a top 10 scary stories sort of channel, because they're not gonna be proficient in spirituality. They're not gonna know what the heck they're talking about, and they're not really gonna link you to any sources for what they're saying. They just are out there to farm views. And if you fall into that kind of sensationalist bullcrap, that's not good for you. That's not good for spiritual people. And that's probably perfectly fine for the channel that's gonna continue feeding spooky stories, because that's just what you really, really want to eat. So anyway, thank you for watching. We do gaming on this channel normally, and I also do occult videos on the side. So if any of that interests you, take a look around, you know, see what you can find. Enjoy yourself. Yeah. Thank you for watching. I hope I'm gonna see you on any other of my videos. Please don't feed sensationalist channels. That's not a good way to consume media. Watch something better.